there is a role for crypto in the same way there's a role for gold. That is, it's an alternative.
Breaking news. BlackRock making big moves on Bitcoin and crypto. Larry Fink saying, for those looking to diversify, this is not a bad asset.
For those looking to diversify, this is not a bad asset.
And that is just the tip of the iceberg on the press tour that Larry Fink is going on now, promoting Bitcoin, promoting crypto, promoting tokenization.
Crypto, our digital asset platform, our private markets platform, our investment technology grew as fast as they have in many, many quarters now. And then, just across the board, ETFs, record quarter.
Larry Fink has finally revealed what's actually going on, what BlackRock is actually doing behind the scenes.
The role of Ethereum as a blockchain can grow dramatically. So if we can create more acceptability, more transparency, more analytics related to these assets, then it will be expanded. But I truly don't believe it's a function of regulation, of more regulation, less regulation. I think it's a function of liquidity, transparency, and then through that process, no different than when years ago when we started the mortgage market, years ago when the high yield market occurred, started off very slow, but it built as we built better analytics and data. And then through better analytics and data, more acceptance and a broadening of the market. And I truly believe we will see a broadening of the market of these digital assets.
Before I play you this, let's talk about the current state of the macro economy and the Fed's coming actions. We can learn a lot about what the Fed is about to do by Jerome Powell's speech today. TLDR, Jerome Powell just said, the data is showing that the economy today is largely where it was in September when they cut. The data suggests that growth may be better than expected. This is good. Labor market weakness justified the September rate cut. Basically, Powell is saying that growth is decent and the labor market is weak, so rate cuts continue to be the path forward. This is huge. Jerome Powell just indicated that quantitative tightening is ending, quantitative easing is coming. This is super bullish for Bitcoin and altcoins.
It appears that inflation is certainly running above our target and appears to be continuing to increase quite gradually, but increase. It's still on the way up. So there's a risk there that would lend to greater persistence. But now the labor market has demonstrated pretty significant downside risks as payroll jobs have declined, and both the supply and demand for labor has declined quite sharply. So, those two states of affairs for our two goal variables, call for different monetary policy responses. So, as they come more into balance, I think the idea has been that policy should move from being, tight to some degree to being more neutral as those two things balance out.
If you're interested in making money in crypto, make sure you subscribe to Altcoin Daily, smash the like button, and check out this video. BlackRock CEO Larry Fink, first of all, announced their Bitcoin ETF 100 billion assets under management milestone. This is record-breaking. And on top of that, he says, this is just the beginning. We're just at the beginning of the tokenization of all assets, from real estate to equity to bonds across the board. This is huge for Ethereum, Solana, and crypto at large. Take a listen to how giddy and proud Larry Fink is to announce this about crypto.
It's not about if our market's going up or down. Is there a bubble in crypto, or is there a bubble in technology? It's about being in the market throughout the cycle. Even if you put money in the United States in the year 1900, and then you had the Great Recession, you had the Depression, you had all these things, you would have earned over 9% over 125 years. So I'm not here to tell anybody if the markets are going to go up or down, but over a long horizon, and every individual who's thinking about it should be focusing on these opportunities. And I'm absolutely thrilled to see more and more young people investing in equities, not just Polycom. They're investing in equities. And if they can now translate that from just a trading and flipping account into a long-term investment strategy, and be an owner of those over long horizons, over your lifetime, you're going to do really well. And another interesting point, I think I've said this before, But over a 30-year cycle, if you earned an extra 0.5%, over 30 years, 0.5%, your retirement pool of money is up 15% more. Just 0.5%. So the virtue of compounding over 30 years, there's nothing more important. And Jim, you write about this all the time. This is what it takes. It's about being in the market, being focused on this over a long horizon. And the young people who are worried, they're not going to have much to worry about. America still is the best place in the world to invest, and I would be continuing to invest here today.
So let's talk about Ethereum, because I see so many people in the comments who say Bitcoin only, Ethereum is dead, and I want you to be aware of this metric. I think most people are ignoring the fact that Ethereum's circulating supply is shrinking super fast. 3.4% of the entire circulating supply is held in digital asset treasuries. This will be illiquid for years, if not forever. 7.3% held by ETFs, illiquid 80% of the time. Almost 30% staking, majority illiquid due to the exit rate limit. What you need to understand is this cycle for Ethereum is different from every other cycle with these three supply vacuums existing. Digital asset treasuries are new, spot ETFs are new, and staking was in its infancy last cycle. So with ETH supply disappearing faster than ever, over 40% of all ETH is currently locked out of circulation, and it continues to climb rapidly, this metric. This time, Ethereum enters the cycle with record institutional demand and the smallest liquid float in history. When demand meets a shrinking supply like this, price doesn't just go up, it goes nuclear. And make no mistake about it, there is demand. Ethereum is taking over Wall Street. And this isn't according to me. This is according to the former CEO and chair of TD Ameritrade, Joe Moglia. When he speaks, people listen, and this is what he has to say about Ethereum and Wall Street.
The people that grew up in the Web3 world and the DeFi world really are on top of their game. But it's a lot of people in the traditional finance world that still tend to struggle with this a little bit. So if you think about where the future is, 5 years from now, there's not going to be a stock, there's not going to be an option, there's not going to be a mutual fund, ETF, anything that's not in effect tokenized. Stablecoins. 5 years ago, nobody heard about stablecoins. Today, we've got about $280 billion market, and Secretary Bessent had said that two years from now, we'll probably have a $2 trillion market. Ethereum is about 60% of that. So Ethereum's got its own blockchain, and it's got programmable smart contracts that in effect can do really complex financial institutional type transactions, especially overseas, that can be done almost instantaneously today, and that's going to be the way of the future. So 5 years from now, the market that we know of today, the exchanges, 24/7 markets and settlement, et cetera, that's going to be the way of the future. And I'm not sure traditional finance has necessarily quite accepted that yet.
Institutional demand is here. They don't FOMO in, they don't buy tops. They are methodically taking out bigger and bigger positions. And again, this is not according to me. This is according to somebody who sees the flows, who's having these conversations. 15 billion Bitwise's Matt Hogan says the real bull story for crypto is just the slow-moving freight train of institutional investment. It's a very strong long-term bull market from my view.
What's on the horizon? Maybe some government, maybe finally getting some domestic regulation or clarity on what it's going to look like. Is that what's next for Bitcoin?
So for a short-term catalyst, for sure, progress on the Clarity Act in Congress, if we see that, if the government reopens, would be positive for crypto. But the real bull story for crypto is just the slow-moving freight train of institutional investment. I've probably done a half dozen meetings with institutional investors and financial advisors over the last 2 days. None of them talked about what happened over the weekend. None of them talked about the liquidations Melton talked about. They talked about this need to get exposure to crypto. They're currently on 0. They're going to 5%. That's the big story. It's a slow-moving bull market, but it's a very strong long-term bull market from my view.
My name is Aaron at Altcoin Daily. See you tomorrow, my friends.